Right, we're back in and we're joined by our guest Levi. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm well. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
Really appreciate you having
First
me.
off, thanks for coming in,
down,
mate.
mate. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Obviously, it comes to light, like your story after watching yourself on SAS. Honestly, it was like really like inspiring and stuff to sort of see you on there. How was that sort of experience?
Yeah, that was difficult. That was tough. Mentally, physically demanding, but it was a really good experience. I call it life-changing in the sense of just sort of giving you that strength to keep pushing forward, understanding, your limits, your weaknesses, but you can always push past them and working on yourself. It's not just about your physical ability,
It's a lot of mental, isn't it?
It's more mental than anything. Don't get me wrong, you need to have a physical,
aspect to it.
yeah, you need to have a level of fitness. I'm not saying that you're going to get through on all mental. You
But
won't.
yeah, you got like certain things you can go push on.
Exactly.
I watched your episode this morning actually.
Yeah,
And
I
when
watched
you
it
come
last
down
night.
the waterfall.
Yeah.
And you like, I'm proud of myself.
Yeah.
Fox
Yeah,
is
you
like,
smashed that, to be
shut up,
fair,
you
didn't you?
gobshite.
Yeah, you go shot. Yeah,
Fucking hell.
yeah. I think there's a bit when he's like, as much as it pains me to say it, he's like, he done really good on that. And it's like, now get lost, you go shot. You're like, yeah, but that for me, you jog off like that's like a pat on the back. It's a morale boost.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously, you had your reasons to sort of go on to SAS. Obviously, after the passing of your brother Joshua.
Yeah.
Do you want to sort of elaborate what sort of happened and like your experience on grief?
I kind of, because nobody's really heard, they put a bit in the papers, people know my social media, even friends know stuff, but I kind of go through kind of what happened that day, so people get sort of a...
Yeah, definitely, mate.
So basically he come down from his missus' house in Hoddesdon to my dad's, where I was staying. I left him, he come up in the morning, I was going to help a mate do a bit of work at his place. So I said to my bro, do you want to come? He was like, not really feeling it. He's more a techie guy anyway. I'm hands-on, get stuck in. He's like, I'm not about getting dirty. So I remember saying, cool, no worries. I left the house, whatever time it was. But funny thing is, I've left the house and I've left my money on the side. So I'm pressing the buzzer to go back up into the block. He's not answering. I'm pressing the buzzer. I'm thinking, your brothers. So you get, I'm like, what is this geezer doing? So after about 5 minutes, he's finally answered. And to this day, I can't remember what he said. And there's no point in me rattling my brain to say, I think he said, did I pass out? Did I fall asleep? Or did I? Do you know what I mean? So I said, there's a bit of money on the side. Take half of it. Throw me down a tenner or something. So I've gone about my business. It's got to the middle of the day and my brother's missus keeps calling. And she's like, I can't get through to him. He's not picking up the phone. And, as brothers, it's unusual for you to answer and to respond at some point.
Yeah.
So I said, look, don't worry, he's at home. I've left him. He's probably chilling or he's fallen asleep. I said, knowing him, he's probably left his keys indoors and he's probably gone out and his phone and he can't get back in. She's like, she felt a bit worried, and it's weird how when something happens, sometimes you can get a bit of a weird feeling.
Yeah, a gut feeling.
Yeah, gut feeling. And she's like, no, I'm a bit worried. And I'm in my head, I'm like, he's fine, don't worry. But then...
Well, it's like to that point, it's just like another normal day,
It's another normal day. So I'm trying to call him. He's not answering. I'm like, you know what, I'll try in a bit. I'm not that far from home, but I didn't have a car at that time. So I was like, I'll get back there at some point.
Yeah.
So I think it got to about 3-4 hours later. And she's like, no, I'm worried. And I'm thinking, I'm still not worried. But I was like, let me call one of my mates who lives in the area. Said, can you go up and press the buzzer just to see... I don't think my mate ever got round there to doing it, but that's not nothing bad on his behalf, But although I did think he might have felt a bit saddened after what happened because he didn't.
What ifs or something,
So I was heading home anyway. I'm walking up, steel toe boots on, rucksack on my back. I get a phone call from my dad, and I couldn't understand what he was saying. He was talking gibberish, and I was like, and I don't talk to my dad like that or my family. I'm like, what the F are you saying? I can't effing understand you. I can't, what are you saying? And then he's like, Josh, get home quick, dying. That's all I got. I just started running. And I always say it's not like the movies where you see them running and then they get all the way home. Mate, you get out of breath, I've got steel toe boots on. I got to the top of the road. I'm in a panic. I'm in Stoke Newington, so I've seen a police car come out of the police station at the back. So I've literally opened his driver door. He's throwing his hands up like, whoa. He's in a panic. Like, what's this geezer going to do? So I was like, please get me home, brother. You can see he's in the States. So he said, get in. He's drove me home. And obviously there's 2 ambulances outside. So already I'm thinking, what the hell? Bolted up the stairs, gone in the house, you know, opened the door. Nah, he's on the living room floor. Apparently he was in the bath before. My stepmom's come home, obviously opened the bathroom door. I was like, oh, you know, he's in the bath. But then I think when she's probably saying sorry or trying to communicate with him, he's non-responsive. So my dad's come, whatever, she's got hold of my dad. My dad's took him out the bath. So now he's in the living room. Obviously, he was giving mouth to mouth at first. Now they're doing CPR and they've got the defib on him. And I'm like, the fuck? Like, for me, that, like, seeing your brother or anyone in your family, even a good friend in that.
Yeah, of course, mate.
You know,
never expect to ever see that, do you?
I fell to my knees in the doorway and I was like, Shay, I didn't know what to think. I think I was like hitting the door frame, like, no, what's going on? And then my dad's like, don't do that. Yeah, you're right. And then I said to the paramedic, I was like, what's going on? Like, you know, and he's like, his heart stopped. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not a paramedic. But when somebody says your heart stopped,
that's not good.
Yeah, that's not good. I think that's when my heart just broke into 2 again, into a million pieces. And I was like, shit. And I call it maternal mode now, like as mothers are maternal, but I'm quite a caring person. So I always say this, sometimes people might take a trip or a fall and some people might laugh at that person, but I'm like, oh, shit, you're right, mate. I might not even know you. I'm quite like, don't be embarrassed, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I felt him. He got no clothes and got a little towel over his thing, and he's still lukewarm, his body. You know, from now I go to the movies, you see they're not stone cold. So I'm thinking, well, he's got a bit of warmth in him. He can come back. So I've got the little towel. I'm rubbing his legs, you know, in between them doing the CPR and then the machine saying, you know, 1, 2, 3, and these things stick with you clear. So you've got to not touch him while the defib goes. You know, I'm rubbing him, and but yeah, I'm in bits at this point. My dad's in bits.
Oh, mate, I can imagine.
And it's like, it's weird because, you know, people started showing up. Like, my mum's come through the door. My mum lives in Enfield. I don't know how she got there. It felt like it was 5 minutes, you know.
Yeah.
And when they're doing CPR, it felt like an eternity. And, you know, they're pushing hard on his chest. And I'm just praying that he comes back, you know. And I still had a bit of hope, but I'm terrified. Like, I'm absolutely terrified. And they're doing it for ages. And I'm thinking the machine's staying clear, not breathing, keep resuscitation. And like I said, they was doing it for a long time. They've looked at each other, the paramedics, like they're doing it. And one's there, you know, she's squeezing the thing. It's not mouth to mouth. They've got the thing they squeeze for the air to go in. And as they're doing it, this must have been about 10, 15 minutes, man, even longer. So, you know, I commend them for continuing, because
I bet that felt like a lifetime.
it felt like forever, you know. And they, as he was doing it, he looked up at the other one and the other one looked up at him. And they didn't shake their heads, but, you know, they had to communicate with themselves first to kind of say, like, and I saw him look at his watch. And he looked at that one. And I got from that, he's looking at the time, he's passed now. And the look he gave him in the eyes was like, without shaking his head, was like, really, and then they kind of looked at us, like, and they were like,
not much else.
There's nothing more we can do. Mate, I can't remember if I burst into tears. No, at that point, my mum's like, oh, get that stuff off of him. Get that shit off of him. Get that. And they had something in his mouth to keep his airway open. I'm like, Mum, calm down. And they took that out. And I just laid with him on the floor in my living room, you know, for at least 20 minutes. You know, I was kissing his face and I was just stroking his hair. And I don't know what happens when you pass, but I believe that maybe your spirit's still in the room, who knows? But he can't communicate, but he can hear maybe, or your spirit's there still. So I'm just saying to him, we're here. You're not alone. We're all here. Mum's here. Friends were coming up. You know, my neighbour was there. My grandma showed. I mean, and you know, she struggles with stairs and that. She's here. You know, and everybody's showing up. I said, you're not alone. You're not on your own.
Shows how loved he was.
Yeah. And you know, I think that was happening. I messaged the same geezer, like, Don, pray for us. And he's like, what? I was like, Josh, he's dying. And he's probably like, what? So now a load of the guys, we live in Shakespeare Walk. It's quite a good community. You know what I mean? And a lot of the boys from the area, they've all shown up outside. And I think, I don't seem a derogatory way to them, like, or to anyone to think, oh, why they got a bottle of drink. But, you know, when things happen in life, people do show up and they've got a drink, and that's what we do. We show them a bottle, and we're here to, you know, we're here for you if you need us. And I've looked out the window, and it must have been about 50 people out there. The way I look at it is like when Tupac passed, like, and there was like loads of people outside, and I, you know, the respect I have for them for being there for me like that, you know, and so he was on the floor there in the living room wrapped up anyway. I'm laying with him for ages. And then I thought, I'd give my mum and that some time. The police come up to just make sure there was no foul play. And they said, obviously, they allowed him to be there. He was at home for probably about an hour and a half before the coroners come to take you away. Yeah. So we still had him. And my dad always said, at least you made it home. You're home, And I look at it, I take, positives from it, even though it's a negative, he had a brain hemorrhage, they said. He had bleeding on the brain, and he could have been bleeding for years. But it's like a bath, a solid vessel is filling up, and then there's nowhere for it to overflow. So he could have passed out on the train. He could have been circling the train for ages,
Yeah.
So from there, this is where my downfall started that day. I've gone outside, I've walked out, my mates are out, and I was like, he's gone. And I think my mate had a bottle of Courvoisier, and I think drank like half the bottle without even flinching. Do you know what I mean? Didn't feel anything. And then from that day, that's on to the next bit.
I think watching anyone die does scar you for the rest of your life, because you never think you're going to be in that situation. No. Especially your brother. And
it's like one day your life is like
a normal day.
Well, compared to the day after, you're like on top of the world, and life is like perfect. And then within 24 hours or something, or even like you say, you're going to help your mate out.
Hours.
Within a couple of hours, like your life has just changed forever, innit? And like the person, one of the closest people that you're close with, is you're never gonna see again or speak. Obviously, they're still with us, and that. But do you know what I mean? It's
they're not there in the physical, is what you say. They're there in the spiritual. But
like he was your brother. Obviously, we're brothers. Obviously, we have murders all the time where we want to, but. We're like best mates.
That's
really.
It,
we have days where we want to kill each other.
You have to have. You have a little grapple. You have little fights. You have little tiffs.
That's why I think when I watched your episode or watched you on SAS, I was watching it with my missus, and I saw you come on and talk about your brother and that, and it did hit home a bit. I don't know, maybe because I've lost someone now. You sort of, even though it's different, like you lost your brother, I lost my dad, but you just relate to it like straight away. I thought like about losing. Mates or my older brother Rich, and you go like, fucking hell, like life can just change within an instant,
in a split second, and it leaves you not knowing where to go next. And what I felt was, it's not just me that was grieving. You got to think my stepmother. I look at her like as a mother. I'm saying my stepmother, but she's been there from when I was a kid as well, and I do love her to bits, and she's still struggling with that now, because I left that day, but she had come home, and she's the one that found him. So everybody's got their own part of that grief. I've got the phone call, so my part of the grief starts when I'm getting a phone call and I'm running home. She's come home, found him. My dad's come home, taken him out the bath. My mum's got a call, had to come. So we've all had a different part to play. So we're all got the same grief, but there's different parts to it, And I think finding him there for her is massive. She was screaming, tough. What do you do? And
I guess. Yeah, it's like one of those things. What do you do in that situation? Because you either fight or flight. Like, you either panic, or straight away, I need to get him out.
I need to get some help. Yeah, and so what I say is as well. So our family's always been close. We haven't had money like that. We're not. We're I'm not saying we're poor, but we've always had love and a lot of respect, and we're genuine, good-hearted people. Yeah. So a lot of people take to us, and
which counts for a lot more.
To be fair, and to be honest, if somebody probably offered me dad £1 million to do a job, he'd probably say, I don't need £1 million for that, mate. Give me 50 grand. You're just genuine evil. So when you're grieving, or say you broke your leg, for example, God forbid anything happens, right? Your brother helps support you, your family support you, but when you're all broken your leg, for example, you're all we're all grieving at the same time. So there's no one to really. How do we support each other? It's hard because you're all in this hole, in this. Your mental state's rot. I mean, maybe if something really terrible happened to just me, but I'm still alive. Say, people support you, pick you up, but we're all going through it, and we're all feeling it, and we're all. It's new to us, so we're all shutting down. I'm drinking at that time. I'll be honest. There's things that I want to be honest in this podcast because. I want to be able to help people get through their traumas and their grief, and they need to understand that I've been through it. And me not beating around the bush will be like, well, you haven't really experienced that. You haven't really done that. So I'll be honest. The alcoholic bit people know. I mean, this would be a shot to a bit of family or friends, but I was doing a lot of cocaine, like a lot, maybe 4 or 5 grams a day, you know, and I had never done it before.
Yeah.
I'd never done it before. I worked in the events industry, and, you know, sorry to shoot down the events industry, it's everywhere. And I was good enough to stay away from it. You know, I always had a puff. I haven't smoked for years. But, you know, as teens growing up, I think, you know, cannabis was just it was always there.
Was that like sort of your coping mechanism after?
Yeah, the drink, and then I think the drink led to the drugs, and that way you know, in the daytime, like, I started to feel, well, why should I feel good? Why should I be able to eat? Why should I be happy? He's not here to feel all of this. So it becomes self-sabotage, self-destruct. You know, just all of the negatives, no self-love, no self-care. So I was doing cocaine and, you know,
probably putting on a brave face at the same time,
At first, it wasn't visible. It's good at hiding it.
Yeah.
Then after a while, you know, your relationships start pushing away. You start getting angry. You start getting pissed. You know, you're drinking too much.
Could you talk to anyone about it? Like, you're like, obviously losing someone so young. Could you like sort of talk to your mates and show how you was feeling, or did you like close up and just?
Well, I had a good couple of mates. You know, a guy called Aaron Pryor, Adrian Clifton, who plays football now, FA Cup level, and, you know, a lot of other people. There's so many names, you know, and they were there for me, and they kind of knew what I was doing, but they always gave me positive advice and was there for me. But what I appreciate about them is they always had the door open, never forced me through it. If I wanted to come to them, they would come. But if I felt like I needed space, they'll never be like, come here, I need you to come in. You know, just kind of give you that space.
It's good to like have people like that, because, you know, if people are trying to force something out of you,
you're
going to lie, you'll be like, yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Whereas if they relax with you and just be like, how you doing, you're going to open up and be like, yeah, I'm struggling, I need help.
I've got a friend, Adam, we call him Big Turkish guy, and he'll be like, and this was like a bit of a blessing. Anytime I felt like really low and I didn't know what to do, sometimes I just wander around sometimes, you know. Everything was good in my life, and then now I don't know what I'm doing. I'm buzzing, I'm drinking. And he's like, where you going? I see him in there. I'm like, he's like, come over here, come. I got go up the road, follow me up the road or something. And you're like, yeah. He's like, come, we're going to grab a cup of tea or whatever it might be. I'm like, all right then. But it was always like a bit of a blessing, because at that moment, I don't know what I was about to do or where I was going to go. You know?
Probably look back on that now and really appreciate that moment.
Yeah. I remember one time I was walking down Church Street, Stoke Newton. I actually stopped for a minute in a doorway. And I didn't, like, on Church Street in Stoke Newton, was like, should I just sit here then? And a mate come past, Callum, and, you know, he was like, what are you doing? I was like, nothing, I'm just about to go over there. And he's like, yeah, come meet me, we're going to go over there and grab some breakfast or whatever. And I'm like, all right. But I was really about to sit down just on the floor in the doorway. And I don't know why, I had nowhere to go. You know, my brother was, I followed him through everything, you know. Yeah. It's like footsteps in the snow. He was leading them. And then when they stopped, I'm like, oh, where do I go? Left, right, forward?
Got no guidance, have you?
Yeah, it's like learning to walk again, to be fair. It was like baby mode.
Obviously you got your dad and that, but I always think like your older brother you do mainly look up to, don't you?
Yeah.
Because you do generally sort of tend to learn from their mistakes, or so, do you know what I mean? You sort of like
ask them for advice.
Yeah. Even I was saying this to my fiance's dad the other day. He was the guy when it comes to getting your hair cut, and he's like, "Yeah, get a 1.5 and this on the side." I had no clue. He was the handsome brother. He was like. Do you know Redman and Method Man, the rappers?
Yeah,
he was like Method Man, and I was a bit like Redman. He's just like, yeah. And that's how I always looked at him. Method Man's always a bit like suave and got his swagger, and Redman's got a hat on, a hood on. He's just a bit rough and rugged. But
it's similar to me and Tom. Like, he can lead the way. I'm a bit more reserved and that. So if I didn't have Tom, I would really struggle.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine.
It's like if we walked into a room and he shook everyone's hand, right, I shake everyone's hand. You know, obviously as we've gotten a bit older and progressed, we're a bit more in ourselves, and we have that ability. So I'm quite outgoing now and quite, I wouldn't say outspoken, quite forward. And my mate, Jerome, says, you're a social butterfly. You know, you put you in any situation.
You are though, mate. Like I say, since getting in contact with you, mate, you've been lovely like the whole time. Like, and to be honest, when I remember when I first messaged you, I was like, I probably won't get a reply, because like it's just one of them. Do you know what I mean?
Like, but
happen. You was like straight back. You was like, yeah, mate, I'd love to come on. Yeah.
And then again, like where you guys lost your old man and what it represents and how we're coming forward, and you know, it's making ourselves proud and doing for us. But this is a legacy for you guys, but and your old man as well to. You know, it's maybe you wouldn't have started this if you never lost him.
Well, that's the thing. We said it on our last one, didn't we? Like, if you'd asked us probably like, well, our dad died 5 years ago, say 6 years ago, that our dad had died, and we'd be doing a podcast on grief. Like, you'd be like,
Yeah,
nah, no
yeah, you
chance.
wouldn't have. Yeah, and the thing is, the 5 years. So my brother passed 2013 September, and it's we're in April now. His birthday's 23rd of April.
I was going to say,
Yeah,
you
so
mentioning that.
there was always these sort of sorry to change the subject
that's
in a
right, mate.
circle, but there was these landmark moments. So like his birthday, and I noticed in life things will pop up close to these times. I'm like, it's a sign, but it could be like a lot of people are like, well, it's just a coincidence. Well, I take it as a sign.
Yeah.
It's near his birthday, and I'm getting
makes you feel better.
the chance to talk about him and life.
100%, mate. Yeah, you got to take any comfort that you can.
And also, like you said, 5 years, but sometimes what people don't understand is 5 years, 10 years, it always feels like yesterday.
Yeah, you can remember what you was
And
doing.
the memories in your head. So I was talking to a psychologist when I came back from SAS. Channel 4 kind of helped me out, and Minnow Films, bless them, and got me to see someone privately, because when we was out there, you talk about a lot of your grief, and there's a lot of other people that have gone through things. So it was nice to be able to share and open up.
Yeah.
But it made me feel that, I imagine you had a leaky pipe and you've taped it up, you've put mastic on it, and it's lasted a few years, but it's fixed by yourself. So, after a while, it just kind of erupts and blows. You need to get a plumber in now. So I kind of felt a bit wobbly. And so, I spoke to somebody, about the grief. And what he said is the memories, what we think in our head, like I said about, it felt like just yesterday, there's some thoughts that you don't need to hold on to. So for me, for example, it might be whenever I used to think about him, it's when that day you passed and he was on the floor and the CPR, but you don't need to hold that. Some memories you need to let go and keep onto the positives, but it's deciding what you want to hold and what you want to keep. And getting rid of some isn't a bad thing, and it's not gonna make you not remember your old man or your brother. But some of them are very painful memories, and
you could wake up and that could ruin the rest of the day.
Rest of your day, your weeks, and and it's. I think the psychologist said, don't quote me, it's like, your memory has two different parts. Bits where memories are processed, where it turns to information, and bits where it's stored and it's broken. And because it was a trauma, it hasn't had the chance to really process that information. So it's just in there, broken, and it's like just stuck in the back of your head. So again, all that self-sabotage, self-attacking, and I feel like I've come a long way from the alcohol, the drugs.
What was like the sort of moment that you sort of
wanted to change?
Yeah, like what made you sort of go, right, that's enough now, I need to make a change?
I think I say this with anything in life. When it comes to giving something up or starting something new, you just get to this turning point. It's like you can't ever put a date on anything. I'm going to start the gym next week. I'm going to eat healthy in a month. Yeah. It doesn't work like this. One day I'm like, fed up. I'm sick of this. You wake up one day and you're literally like, I've had enough and I want to change my life. And for me, I was driving with a mate and, I've had a load of gear, we're going to get more. And I think I was driving, I heard this voice in my head, it's like, you're going to die now, literally. And my body kind of was weak and numb. I stalled the car, kind of blacked out a bit. I'm in traffic. So I'm like, shit, what's that? And so now I've managed to get to the side of the road. My mate's like, what's happened? I'm like, I didn't know what to say anyway. So anyway, we've ended up at his and he's like, get some more. And I'm like, I'm all right. And literally, I stopped doing the gear. I'm still an alcoholic because drink, I'm stuck on it, So then the company I worked for, because I had this epiphany, I call it, and this change in myself and where I wanted to be in, I just felt like that moment I always felt like I wouldn't kill myself, but I'd hurt myself, not cut my wrist, but painfully drink drugs, not caring about myself, not self-loving, didn't care what happened. But that moment, I was like, fuck, I do care. I do care if I'm going to die.
So that's self-love as well.
Yeah,
if you care. If you don't love yourself, it's
it's
just
dangerous.
self-sabotage.
It's a dangerous thing. And I always think I didn't go to that extent, but I remember when my dad passed and a few other things happened and that, I sort of went on you could say a self-sabotage. I'd be going out all the time. Not looking after yourself and all that. And I felt like I'd sort of think my dad wouldn't want me doing this. Do you know what I mean? Even though he is proud of me and all that, and it's a horrible situation what we everyone's bit, but they wouldn't want that.
They wouldn't want it.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
And that's another thing as well. So I always felt my brother was always really close to me. Then the things I started doing and the way I was behaving, I felt like he was like, I don't like this. I don't want to be near you when you're like this, I love you to bits. And again, like you said, I didn't feel he would agree, and my brother wasn't like that. He'd be like, brother, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, brother, don't do this crap. This ain't for me. Don't put this on me that you're doing all this drink and drugs because of me, because that's not how I would want you to be. I want you to get out there and keep moving and push on, and like what we're doing now. That this is like, right, that's my
good motivation, though, innit? Knowing that he would be like that. Do you know what I mean? And it means like they meant like they thought a lot of you. Do you know what I mean? If they didn't, like, do what you want, then, innit?
And then I think I work for a company called Showforce Events. Glorified labourer in the events industry, I call it, because you're working in, Wembley Stadium, you're going to all these different festivals, you might be building the stage, working with the lighting techs, the chippies. So I always put a lot of graft into what I do. So, I always got recalled for a lot of jobs. And then, like I said, when I felt like I had enough of that, the drink and the drugs, and just in myself, and I just really wanted to get out of it. And I was thinking, how can I? And I'm either fully switched on or I'm fully switched off. And we could be drinking all today, and then tomorrow you're like, you want to drink? I'm like, I don't drink no more. And it's like, just drinking for yesterday. It's like, no, I swim now and I run, and so I'm good at just shutting things down, but that's a positive and a negative at the same time. So I've contacted the company I've worked for, and they've got a hub in the Middle East, in Abu Dhabi, Dubai. And I was like, look, I thought it's a drink-free, drug-free country. It'd be a good chance for me to get away. I'm good at what I do. It's just running crews and setting up for events. Again, if there's I said that's really, I'm quite good with words, like not the brightest sharpest talking books, but I could write quite well. So I said, look, I've been through this. They knew what I've been through. I was taking time off. I said, look, if there's an opportunity, I'd really like to go. And I think I saw an email come back a few days later, and you're like, oh. You've looked for something, applied for it, and I was scared to open it. You're like, And it's like, lucky enough, there was a guy that was just leaving. He was retiring out there. And they said, what, if you want that position, you can take it. So I was like, right, I love it.
Oh, amazing, mate.
So at first, I was going out there for a few weeks at a time, come back for a week or two, go back for 4 weeks. And when I got there, they sent me to Yas Marina Island, where they do the F1, last race of the season, Abu Dhabi. I was in Qatar. So I was like, mate, the sunshine on your skin. And I was like, this is life. This is living. And just opened my eyes to away from Hackney, away from the blocks of flats, away from the drugs. This is...
And it also, like we were saying, it's like another sign, like something's come up to sort of like give you an opportunity, right, let's make a change now, innit?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
It's time, yeah. And I remember, and it was like, that was probably the second time I'd been away abroad working. Luckily, I was very grateful for it. And, just those feelings of getting on a plane and going to the airport and sitting on the plane, and I used to listen to the Emirates, man. It's excellent to fly with, and you can put on different stuff. It was Lauryn Hill, the Fugees tracks, and this and that. And I just sit there and I didn't even watch a movie. I just listened to this music all the way, and it was really quite heartfelt. And I'd look around on the plane and thinking, right, you're not going on holiday, but I'm sitting in this chair. They've paid for me to go to work, and I'm going to work. And I was like, really boosted my confidence. Yeah, started caring about myself.
Yeah, that's good, mate.
Yeah, so when I got out of there, I'd done really well. Unfortunately, I was on and off that for a couple of years. I was going out there. They offered me a contract. Unfortunately, the money wasn't really what I wanted. And I think at first, I still felt I was quite far from my brother, even though he's in the cemetery in my family. So it was nice to keep going back and forward. Yeah. But to stay there constantly, and, my family's still going through stuff. My little sister was probably 13 at the time.
Yeah.
So
did you struggle when you come back, like trying to stay off the booze and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, great question. So what I found was, no matter how far in the world you go, and I don't want this to be any disrespect to anybody I know that's listening to this, when you go back to an area or that same environment, you realise everybody's doing the same thing. I've been gone 3 months. I've just been doing all of this and that, and there's been no change, mate. Still the drink, still the drugs, still smoking. And I'm like, fuck. It makes you realise that shit, man. There's so much more out there. And I felt really down. And I felt like, how can I try and help everybody to get out of this? Yeah. We all need to go and open our eyes to this. And it's quite sad, And but it was quite difficult when you come back, because it's where you live. And unfortunately, that might be the same little group that you go to. And they might not be, that's not all your friends. That's just there's some people you drink with, some people you might do a bit of gear with. It's not everybody, and some of my friends don't do all that. Nowadays, nobody really does at all, to be fair. So yeah, it was quite difficult. I think I did have a bit here and there. I'd be lying if I said I came back and I'm teetotal. That's bullshit. I had a bit, but I wasn't as bad, And then what I found was, when you stop something for a long time, drink, drugs, whatever it might be, that vice smoking, when you have a bit, you're like, you feel terrible after. You're like, why did I do that? I feel shit, and it's not the same feeling, the same buzz you had before.
Yeah.
So then you're like, right, that was off-putting. You're like, you know what? I'm glad I actually had that to make me realise
It weren't
I
worth it.
don't need that. Don't need that. And so then I started doing training. You know, used to like to train as well. I see you.
I was gonna say, like, I see like you're into your training, like you're a big boy. Yeah, I see like you're into your training.
Yeah, I started doing. So I remembered my stepdad. He passed like your old man, but he had prostate cancer, and years ago he took me to a place called Team Titan. And what I liked about them is there was a lot of professional fighters already there. Brad Pickett, Jason Shotgun Young. There's a jiu-jitsu guy, Enrique Santana. They're really good, you know. And sometimes when you train with people like that already kind of out there, you're like, right, this is good. Like I'm kind of, you know, no disrespect they're training with just any old bod, but it's a bit more inspirational. You can make it to this level. So I went down there one day and I was like, I hadn't been there for about 5-6 years. I was like, do you remember? He's like, yeah, of course I remember. He's like, come in, train. Started doing jiu-jitsu and he's like, mate, I'm here every day. So I stopped working for a bit, train every day religiously. It was like church, you know, and even the geezer's wife was like, mate, he's like, you're dedicated.
It's like free therapy, like I find.
It was.
Yeah, when like obviously we lost dad and that, I feel like training was like a big part of me. Yeah, definitely. It makes you feel so much better about yourself and like gets you back on like where you want to go. Yeah. But definitely, it's a good motivation.
Thinking that on the way down, the training isn't just about getting big, you know, getting hench, say, muscles and, you know, being the best at something. It's for your mental health, your mental state, structure, routine. Like, just the hardest bit about training isn't doing it. It's getting your shoes on and getting out the door.
100%.
That's the hardest part, because it's so easy to say, listen, like, we all would rather sit down and stand up, innit? We'd all rather have a cup of tea and put on the telly. But then once you've done that little jog, you don't have to run, you know, a mile a minute or anything like that, you know. You just go out for a gentle stroll. Once you're done, you're like, that was so good.
Yeah. Then you can sit down and enjoy it.
The minute, like, before, like, you're like, oh, I really can't be bothered. The minute, within the first 5 minutes of doing it, you're like, I'm glad I've done this.
Yeah, I'm glad I've done that.
100%.
That endorphins and know that the feeling, the things that shift around your body. And I always found we didn't have loads of money. So when it comes to training in that sense, it was free. And I could put my shoes on and just go for a run. You know,
well, you saw it over COVID when they shut all the gyms, how many people struggled with their mental health and stuff like that. Yeah, it's the best therapy, I think. Just doing some sort of
free therapy, innit? Yeah, and like you say, the hardest bit is just getting your shoes on and getting there. But once you're there, it's and then,
like I said, the jiu-jitsu, I started doing that, and MMA and wrestling in the day. And then, you know, I was only a white belt. I wasn't a black belt, blue belt, but, you know.
It gives you a focus, though, doesn't it? Yeah. It's not, it is a distraction. Like, it takes your focus away from that to something positive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then I found that the coach was like, you should do the Europeans, you know, European Championships, you know. Anyone can enter. I wouldn't say enter if you've got no practice. My mate actually said that at the time. He said, what if I came and said I'm a black belt and went to fight a black belt? My uncle was like, mate, you're going to get hurt big time. You know, so I done the competition as a white belt. I didn't win. But again, stepping on the mats, the feeling in your belly, feeling of loads of people there, it's an accomplishment.
As well. Yeah. Like, I think you always got to have goals, because if you ain't got nothing to chase, you're just waking up.
You're just waking up to.
Whereas if you got a sort of something you want to achieve, that's why. Like, after I lose my dad, you always set targets like the marathon and stuff like that, because it keeps you busy. And
I always set quite big goals, and a lot of people they said to me, some people said, why don't you start something smaller, just like round the corner than the European? I'm like, no, I'm going straight for that. Because sometimes you set yourself a really small goal and you've achieved it really easy, and you need something big to aim to, and even if you don't get to that, at least the process along the way 100%, is you know, a lot of effort, like that motivation, determination, and
again, it's something to make them proud as well, isn't it? You want them looking down and going like,
go on.
You're doing well. Like, keep going.
I felt that he was there with me, and when I done that, and you know, it's like, come on, bro.
And it just shows how far you come as well, because like, it's not easy to stop drinking,
drugs,
doing that sort of thing,
and then so then after that, I started. So all of this was to take myself away from the alcohol, drugs, and you know, get myself into a place where I can kind of reintegrate myself back into work, back into normal life, because when you're going through that, you can't go to work. You know, but you need work and money to started, but your head ain't in the right space.
It's a vicious cycle.
Yeah. So then I started luckily I had a little bit of change saved up, and started doing these T-shirts, clothing brand dedicated 1987. So I've got a tattoo on my leg there that says dedicated. My brother was doing tattoos before he passed and tattooed his own leg with the same dedicated. I thought I'll put the 1987 with it. That was his birth year, and I was just the printing on the T-shirts, like the not the screen printing. Anyway, printed on T-shirts, so my brain's gone blank. The vinyl on the top.
Okay, yeah.
Just the wording dedicated 1987. Put his name in the tag. Dedicated 1987 by Joshua Delvin Attil, and that was like it's like part of a legacy. So your name lives on, like your old man. This is part of him. His name's continuing to grow.
Yeah,
and but what people don't understand is, even though this says Geezer's grief, but really, when you're focused on this, this is because of your old man. You pick this up. So it says your dad's name. So what is your dad's name?
Dave.
Dave. So to you, it might as well say Dave. You know what I mean? The dedicated to me, it might as well say Josh. But it does take a lot of emotional energy out of you as well, because it's, what it stands for. So I was doing that, and at first I thought, so I've got the J on my hand here, and he had the J, and I've copied everything he's done. So I thought if I just put a J on the top,
that means something, mate, doesn't it?
And I could wear clothes that just had the J on it. And the dedicated done quite well. Done it for a little while. Didn't take off like, some of the brands out there. But again, it was me remembering you, and for the past 10 years, that's what I've been doing. Kind of remembering you, and he is my legacy. I don't have any kids yet, or at the moment for myself. I've got a stepdaughter I look at as my own, and like, it's a blessing that my fiance allows me to be in her life like that, and you know what I mean? And so I look at it as my own, but I don't have my own kids right now, and so he is my legacy, his name to live on, and I'm just pushing forward with that. But then I thought to myself, I wouldn't want him to feel bad, like, that all I've done was think about him. So now I found it's time to work on me as well, and what I like to do and what I enjoy doing, instead of just your name. So that's why I've done the SAS. It's like, you know what, that's something I've always wanted to do. I always wanted to be a military man. So like the geezers that took the course, I've got my hats off to them. I always looked at myself, if I made it in, that's the sort of lengthy service I would have done. I would have tried to get right to their their status. That's where I would have aimed to get to. So when I was on the course, I was like, I'm looking at these guys like you're inspiration to me. So I was taking it serious,
Yeah, mate, you smashed it, didn't you? To be fair, you done it really, really well.
They said in the jungle.
It was. So I took that really seriously, and since then I've been focusing a bit about me. So at the moment, but then again, so I'm gonna do the channel swim the channel.
Oh, I see that.
So I went and met a guy called Harry Middleton yesterday.
That was at Hampton, wasn't it?
Hampton.
So that's down the road for us.
So I don't meet him again. I've messaged him on Instagram, and it's the same sort of thing. It's a circle, and I was like, look, mate, your name's come up, and I just wanted to ask you a few questions if you don't mind. It's like, yeah, I don't think, you know what I mean. Then obviously this has progressed over a bit of time. I said, do you want to meet up for a swim? If you mind, like, helping me get into a bit of shape. So that was good. So it's unofficial but official. So I've got a couple of dates. I've got August 2024. That would be good because my birthday's 6th of August, and this is between the 4th and 11th. Yeah. Or there's June 2025. Seems like really long way away.
But I guess it's not just like you can pick it up tomorrow.
Yeah, yesterday, yesterday I'm really good at swimming, but I hadn't swum for a while. So yesterday, I think we done about an hour, done about a kilometre. And I was like, shit, I can't do this on mindset alone. So the 2025 might be the more realistic one. So I'm starting a charity also called the Joshua Levi Foundation. Yeah. Still in the process with the solicitors because to help me do the application. It costs quite a bit of money paying them. You can do it for free, but I don't want the application to get sent back and forward.
You want it done properly.
Yeah, so that will be helping people suffering from their mental health, loss, bereavement or past trauma, getting them help they need privately, tailored to them individually. So, it's more signposting to begin with. So if somebody come in and they've lost somebody, bereavement, so it might be a bereavement counsellor, it might be a psychologist, it might send them to a wellness retreat, but we will cover the costs and it's private. Yeah. NHS, I'm still on the waiting list.
Yeah. Have you found, sorry to go back, that's but in 2013, have you seen like mental health's gone the last few years?
It's gone through the roof, hasn't it? And I feel that because a lot of people think, well, I'm not suffering. And I always thought that I'm all right. I'm going through my shit, but I've not got mental health because it seems it's a stigma to it. Like I'm not mental, but it's not. Mental health is like having a heart condition. It's your health. It's just the health of your mind. I
think everyone does have it. It's just how you can portray it to people.
Yeah,
so you could worry about the smallest thing.
Yeah,
but you get someone think, oh fuck it, it's not the end of the world, is it?
Different.
But I think since you lose someone, you think there's more to life than worrying
about the small things. Yeah.
Whereas people who get all hot on it.
Yeah,
you just like chill out. I can't chill out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And again, some people have better coping mechanisms than others. Yeah. Some people think that they're dealing with it, but they're not dealing with it. You've brushed it under the carpet again. You know, no, like it's weird. So sometimes you think, no, I'm dealing with it, but there's some things you might be doing is not actually dealing with it when you think about it on the whole. And then you spoke to somebody, and you're like, oh, okay. So mental health, I found for me personally, it will never go. You know, suffering with that. You know, if it's a loss, you'll never get over it. Never.
There's always going to be like triggers to it.
Yeah. But then you have the coping mechanisms and ways that you can control it, because you might feel it coming on. I'm feeling a bit anxious, a bit. You know what? Give myself 5 minutes. I'm going to put the computer down.
Our last guest, Kerry, he was like sort of saying when he done therapy, the therapist spoke about like some days he might, like he done it like a river. Basically, some days he might want to jump this side of the river where he's like feeling shit about what's happened, goes back on it. And then this day where he's like dealing with it really well. And he might jump from one day over to the shit side,
the other side,
but then he's built up like this sort of coping mechanism where he knows how to get back then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's the thing, it's understanding when you feel a certain way or having those coping mechanisms. But like I said, it will never go away, and it doesn't make you mental or a bad person, or
no, not at all.
It's just grief, isn't it? And
you don't want it to go away, I don't think.
That's what the psychologist said. He said if you had a button that you could press and it would clear everything that you had been through and all of those traumas, and obviously we'd always want that our people back, don't get me wrong, but just all these things that have happened in life, would you press it? And you're like, well, maybe that's molded me to be who I am now.
Yeah.
If you haven't gone through certain things in life, I don't know who I'd be now. Maybe you don't have that life experience of knowing how to overcome obstacles, deal with certain feelings, emotions. It molds you for me to be sitting here now, for you not to start Jesus grief, for me to try and do the carbon, to go abroad, or for you to do the jobs that you do. You know,
mate, you got to be a strong person to come through what you've come through. Do you know what I mean? Every single thing from going on SAS to wanting to start the charity and that, like, mate, it just proves how like strong you are. Do you know what I mean?
So the charity,
mate, you're still gonna have like obstacles in the way as well. So when you get married, when you have your first kid and stuff like that, and your brother's not there, you're thinking, I wish she was here.
Yeah, there's certain things that happen in life or achievements you have, and you're like, I wish they were there.
Yeah.
I wish they were there.
Because they would love it, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're there. They are there. We don't know. This life that we live in now, this is limbo. You know, we don't know what's after this. You know, when you go, we don't know where you end up. Maybe this isn't life. Maybe life starts when we pass. And one thing we all know is we're not going to leave this planet alive. there's no way out like that. But yeah, this is limbo. And I found, again, you know, just it makes us who we are today, you know. And
it's very cliche, isn't it? But you do just have to live each day.
Yeah, like, and it showed me, that's what I was going to say, my brain kind of went to rubbish mode. So what it's taught me is life is very precious. So when we leave the house each morning, we're like, all right, I'll see you later, Tom, see you later, I'll see you. Like, who says you're going to make it home? There's no guarantee you're getting home. Like, we just take for granted, like, I'll see you later. So, you know, once you leave the house, anything could happen, you know, God forbid. But that's why it's when you, even if it's something petty you've fallen out about, I'll give you a hug before I leave and say, look, I love you, I'll see you later. Because
it ain't worth it.
If you go and you don't make back through that door, the person that's on the other side of it that is there, they can, man, I wish we didn't have that argument before you left. And it's going to grate on you, and it will stay for a long time. And you're going to feel guilty. Then you start beating, maybe if we didn't have that argument, that wouldn't have happened. And you know what? You know, maybe it would have happened still, but you feel like things are your fault. Yeah. You know, things are, you know, so I think just being loving and kind to anybody. You know, I'm very caring to a lot of people. Might look chunky or whatever, but I'm a very genuine person, very loving, very kind. That's what
they said on the SAS. How like nice you was and stuff like that. They wanted to be like you and stuff like that.
That's, you know, Josh.
A lot of people went to you for advice on that, didn't they?
And that was just naturally me being me, you know. But what they don't realise is I look up to them as well. And they push me, even though people might look up to you. I'm like, mate, you got me through. I'm like, well, you got me through that, you know? Yeah. I'm coming up with all this because of I've met you, and you've helped me in more ways than I've...
bringing it out of me.
Yeah,
sort of thing,
you're bringing the strength out of me. I've just always looked quite strong, and you might look tough, but that's not me. So, you know, I feel like just going off on the look doesn't mean, like, you could be stronger than me, but you might think I look stronger. I'm like, oh, no, I'm not, you know? So yeah, being on that show, that Josh that I met there, again, straight away, as soon as I met him, he's got a tattoo there, didn't he? His name's Joshua. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a silent. He's very reserved, and meeting him out of SAS, he talks a lot. He talks a hell of a lot, you know what I mean? And watching him grow from SAS, to be fair, because he was, like you saw, innit? He was
pro boxer, isn't he?
Yeah, pro boxer, he's doing well. He's quite reserved, you know, and where I'm just straight, give you everything, all of me, you know.
Yeah.
So when I come out and I've watched him do certain interviews, I had to message him. He done one for Sky Sports for the boxing
I saw
thing.
that on his Instagram.
Mate, the way he was speaking and like articulated himself, I was like, come on, I was like, that's what I was like, yes, like you know, you're doing so well. And I've watched some of his videos that he does for the One Vision thing that he does, and a new page, you know, training and different things. And the way he speaks, I'm like, mate,
come a long way.
You come a long way.
Yeah.
You're probably sort of his role model as such.
Yeah.
Like, your brother was yours.
Yeah.
And
him meeting him being Josh already, I was just like, that's a sign, man. We could say coincidence, but for me, I was like,
Nah, it's nice, mate. You got to take, like we said, you got to take little things like that, innit? And like you say, where he's like sort of speaking so well and all that, you've probably helped contribute.
Contributed a bit to that. I wouldn't want to ever say that I've made you like that, or I've
but you've had your input.
But we've had input on each other, and that 10 days we was there, it was very intimate. I don't know you from Adam, for example, we're sleeping, being together, we're going to the toilet, we're eating together. You're very close. We've got no TV, no phone. So now all we have is communicating. So in 10 days, see how close you can get to somebody.
Quite refreshing in a way.
It was amazing. When we come out of there, I didn't even want to turn my phone on.
Yeah.
You
Back to the real world.
To social media, back to life, back to reality. And when we all come back, we was all in a bit of a bubble for a bit. You've just been doing for me personally, this is why I crashed a bit when I came back, because I was doing all the things I've ever dreamt of. You know, as young men, an action man. I always wanted to be action man. I wanted to be that sort of that person, you know.
I think everyone watches and thinks, I want to give that a go.
I want to give it a go.
100%,
yeah, push yourself, and that's how I felt. Let me try it. So you've been doing all the abseiling off waterfalls. I remember I wanted to be in the military, so I've come back to England and thinking, right,
what do I do now?
Back and drive a lorry. You know, I had a bit of a wobbly, to be honest. I was driving down the motorway one day. I just felt so low again.
It's sort of not relating it, but like, when Fury won the heavyweight championship, and he was like, what do I do now?
Yeah, what do I do?
What do I do now?
Yeah.
Like, you've gone from that, and then you've got no other goals as such.
See, this is again, nobody has heard this. So I was driving down the mouth, I felt really low a bit after I come back, man. I think it was eating at me. A bit of a relapse, really. Not on the drink and the drugs, but just like, I don't know if I tried to kill myself. I don't know I think it was more cry for help. That's what it was more. You know, like, just a big cry of help. I was driving, and you know what? I just put my foot on the accelerator. I was on the M1. I just drove you got the side barrier, and I just drove. There's a bit where it starts and then stops, so it's like a head-on bit, and I drove at it 90.
Really?
Hit it. This is a few months back. Flipped the car 5 times. All I had was all I got. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I really, again, this is why I'm just being honest on here, because again, I'm starting the charity.
Mate, we really appreciate it.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Starting the charity thing and the things I'm doing now, it's just to show you that no matter how far you come, some days you still
you're gonna wake up.
You wake up
shit. Always gonna be obstacles.
Yeah, and that's when Channel 4 I spoke to them. They was like, right, now we're getting you to speak to somebody, and that's when I spoke to somebody after that. It's made me like I wouldn't do that again.
No.
But what I'd done there, you know, being close to death, actually, you realise how much you appreciate what you have. How much I appreciate my life. And a lot of people, when they've committed suicide, they just wanted something to stop them or pull them away. To see that somebody cared. And most of the people that do it didn't want to do it. Unless you've got really bad mental health and you do things, bless those people. It's a big cry for help, and you don't want to do it. And
you just want someone to grab you
out. And, and like they see you there and they pull you down, and it might be, I want a bit of sympathy. I might do. I might want a hug. I just want to hug and cry on someone's shoulder.
But it just shows how open you are, because, like you say, you don't know us from Adam, but you've just opened up.
Yeah.
But if someone's listening to that and thinking, he's just said that. I can't tell my best mate that
I'm struggling. And this is after being on SAS, and you might think he's a strong guy. He done really well. But we still battling demons, and it might just be I just got overwhelmed. I think about my brother. I'm up early in the morning for work. A lot of people are, not the only one. But I think a lot of people relate to this. When you're driving on the road at 4, 5 a.m., there's not a lot of people out yet. So it's you, your thoughts, and you kind of got time to think, right, where do I want to be in life? Until it gets to about 8 o'clock, all the cars are out and life starts
you
again.
busy.
You're like,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
really like this. I had the roads to myself for a minute. It was just
Yeah,
me, and you can see the sun coming up, the orangeness in the sky, you know, and it's really surreal and really like it makes you think a bit more. And then once life starts again after 8, you know. So I just want people to understand I've been there with the drink, been there with the drugs, I've been there putting myself down, beating myself up, self-destruct mode again, self-sabotage, and I was so close to going back into that crap. And that's why I'm doing the charity and then helping people. And I want them to understand that, you know, this is somebody that's been there. So I'm not saying all our traumas are the same, but we can all relate.
Yeah,
you know,
we're all
because
part of a club, aren't we?
we're all going through the same thing. And sometimes speaking to somebody that's been through it is easier than speaking to someone that hasn't. And that's not a bad thing on the person that hasn't. It's just, it's more relatable.
100%.
What would your advice be for someone who's just like experienced loss?
For one, it's going to take some time, you know. It will take some time. Nothing's going to get better instantly, you know. But I would say if you feel a type of way, try and open up a little bit. I know sometimes trying to get on the NHS or trying to speak to someone, you know, Samaritans or the line, sometimes it gets frustrating because you're calling up and no one's answering. But go to your GP, say, I just want to speak to someone about bereavement. You know what I mean? And it could be you speak to the doctor, and once you've come out, you know, you don't have to take medication for it, because I found, personally, I would say don't, depending on how you are, because it suppresses everything. You want to get it out. But once you've had a little word with the doctors and they've put you on a little list and you've just gone through the motions, I say, you do feel a bit better when you come out. You're like, right, that was good. I kind of said what was on my mind, how I feel. They've put you down to the next avenue and you kind of feel like I can kind of get on with my life. So I'd say, just say, don't hold it in. Speak to someone, whether it's a friend, a family member. There's always one person, I think, in anybody's life that you can be open with. I'd say speak to them. You know, don't hold it in. Or a stranger. Sometimes talking to strangers, you know, it's like, mate, it's feeling a bit shit today. You know what I mean? It might be a work colleague. And then you'll see the response you get. And then sometimes
you never know. They
will
might
tell
relate
you
to
about
it, innit?
their life. Because saying this to my fiance's dad, you know, in life, we're all going through something. And I found when I started opening up, and it's out open up to you, and it's like, mate, I was going through this and that, and you're like, oh, I'm not the only one.
When you you think you're the only one at some points,
yeah.
don't you? Even though you know you're not, like, because your family and all that, but you think, oh, I'm the only one in the world feeling like this.
Yeah, but you're not, and a lot of people have gone through a similar situation or worse. And I always, I put my brothers. I wouldn't say I put it lower than others, but I'm grateful, and I really feel really heartfelt. I'm not sorry, but I really feel hearty, and I have a lot of love and empathy for the people that have lost someone to somebody doing something to that member of their family. That must hurt even more. Like we've lost our loved ones through cancer, not through somebody else's hand. So when you've got to put flowers on the side of the road, and that must really anger because we was angry. We felt cheated already, but it makes you now look at people in a different way. Like you want to hurt someone and you want to do this to that because they should, you know what I mean? And I think that's not good on that person. So on their self, that's what starts putting you in a downward cycle, So, my heart goes out to those people that have lost someone like that. And, I think people need to reach out, speak up a bit. And hopefully by the time this charity's set up, it's midway there, we've done the commissioning letter. Takes about 4 or 5 months once you send it to the charitable commissions office to come back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the channel swim, try and raise some money for that. For then again, like I said, for covering people's, mental
you should be
health
proud of yourself, mate.
Impact as
You
well.
should be really proud of yourself.
And,
It's amazing.
Again, it'll be good to. It's like a web. So then you have other people that you speak to along the way where you can try and incorporate things like this. With group sessions. I always thought to myself, wellness retreats where you have people that have gone through, there's stuff like that already, gone through traumas in life, then you have activities where people can stay. You can go and hire a big place somewhere in the countryside. Obviously the charity will pay for it. And then you probably have some different type of therapies there, people there for that. But you have a structure today. Get up, have breakfast, do some team bonding. People can bring their kids as well because it's not just the adults, and get people working together, little groups where you can open up about things, talking therapy, maybe where somebody can take the stage or in a circle, not too formal, and talk a bit about your grief. Don't have to be 5 minutes, few minutes, 30 seconds.
Mate, I think you're really onto something.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good idea.
And then maybe like yoga, breathing work, holistic therapy, sound bath treatment. That stuff really works
help.
because it's on the soul. It's really calming.
Yeah.
Along with conventional, therapy.
It's so like people think what's the answer, but it is like literally getting
Each
up,
to their own, isn't
It's-
it?
something positive,
Yeah.
feeling good, moving well.
Yeah.
Small little wins, but
Yeah.
like it
You
all
ain't got to
counts. Doesn't it?
overcomplicate it and think, how the fuck do I get myself
Yeah.
out of this? Right, it's literally get up.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
try
get
and
up.
do something
I think,
positive.
the main thing is when it first hits the trauma of the grief is get up and have a shower, have something to eat. That's try and get the basics done. Get up, get dressed, go for a walk, have a shower. You can come home and sit down because at first you're not going to work or you're having a moment to yourself.
You're in bed till
But
10
yeah,
o'clock,
don't
11
try
o'clock.
and that's when you start becoming stagnant, isn't it? Your mind's
Get a
got
little
time
bit of a
to wander.
routine in it.
Yeah, go for a walk. You don't have to hit the gym as such straight away because, but each to their own. There's no one glove fits all.
No.
So it's finding there's so many different ways to do things out there. So just finding what suits you and just being open to doing new things.
Yeah. Oh mate, I think it's amazing.
Yeah. So again, like I said, the charity, the SAS thing, and the people that I met there. Meeting you guys, the swim I done yesterday. It all helps. Build you up as your character. And don't just focus on money. We all need money to survive, but what are your values, your core values? Focus on them as you grow.
It's more to life than money, mate. Isn't it?
Because a lot of people, it's materialistic, but material things, this is what I'm saying to myself, material things, they get holes and they get old and you need to replace them and they're short-term fixes for yourself. But you see, if you've gone for a run, you run 5 miles, or you took part in a challenge, Yeah, don't get me wrong. Some people say, but then you get kind of hooked on that and you need to do more and more. Yeah, that's true. I won't take that away. But what you do find is that was part of your growth.
Yeah.
That kind of change your mindset, your way of thinking, that's helping you, again, your core values and you grow as a person. So that you don't get from clothes or buying stuff through money. This lasts forever. And then you have those memories of, this is what I'd done and this is who I'd met along the way and your growth as a person, your achievements.
Counts for a lot more, doesn't it?
Your accountability, so...
Yeah,
amazing,
something to be proud of. I think your brother would be really proud of you.
Yeah,
mate.
and I'm glad because there was a point that I felt like his spirit was like, man, I don't want to be around you no more for a bit. Not like I've dropped you off, but I don't agree with all this. And now you're putting it on me that this is the reason why you're doing this. And like, well, I get it, but nah, man, go and sort your shit out. You know what I mean? Go and try and push forward. And
Well, you've done it, mate. That's the thing. You could easily stay in that rut and no one would blame you because of what you've been through.
I know what you are doing, mate. Like you're doing some unreal stuff.
Yeah,
like you've really pushed yourself. And there's more to come in there. Do you know what I mean?
that's why it's a pleasure coming here today.
Oh no,
we haven't
really
met. We don't know each other from Adam, but it was nice that you
we
reached
appreciate
out
you
and
being so open as well, mate. Because a lot of people wouldn't dare say what you've said. 'Cause
Yeah.
they're so scared of what it coming out.
what it might
Yeah.
not repercussions, but how people think of you
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Like I said about crashing the car, but like some of my family don't know about it, but maybe you should know because before with the drink, it was in the paper that little bit like you was drinking a bit and and mine was like, I knew you was drinking, but I didn't know it was that bad. Like, well, it was, but I hid it. I hid it well.
Yeah,
you know?
Protect the people around you as well.
Yeah, but maybe it's time when no, they should know and know.
It's
how
all
far
part of your
you've
growth,
come.
mate.
Yeah,
It's all part of your growth. Yeah,
know?
like you say, the more people, the more you talk about it, the more you can explore options of like overcoming these obstacles and that kind
and
of.
then more it becomes like that's right. That's where I was. That's in the past, and that's not who I want to be anymore. I've gotten past that, and I'm becoming a different person.
And more people can hear it and relate to it, and hopefully it helps them. Do you know what I mean? And it will.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll definitely help them.
I think being open and honest with yourself and taking accountability for where you was and why you're in a certain rut. Because it's easy to brush it off and be, I don't know why I was here, but in your head you're like, yeah, you do.
Yeah, you're lying to yourself.
You're lying
a
to
little bit,
yourself, and I don't want to be lying to myself anymore. And there's a lot of friendships that a lot of people that are there for me, and I wouldn't say I've destroyed those friendships, but I did push a lot of people away. And I love those people to bits that were there, and they know who. There's so many names. There's people that open their door to me, and where I stayed, and your fridge and your cup's have got to make a cup of tea, and you know what I mean. But it's sometimes things got the better of me, and I wouldn't say it's not my fault, but it was my fault for what I was doing. But I'm changing and I'm growing. I've never done anything that bad that it's like fucking hell, like you're fucking barred. You're
You're honest, mate, as well. You don't blame anyone else.
Yeah.
You're blaming yourself, but you come out of it,
You
mate.
come
That's
out of
all
it,
you can
yeah.
do. That's all you
And
can
I
do.
feel when you do say how you feel, and look at a lot of people write books on it. It used to be like, look at Richard Pryor, he's smoking crack and doing coke, and he was a well-known comedian, but you talk about it, you know, you can write a book on your life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's about the journey, the
100%,
process,
mate, yeah.
you know what I mean? And how we grow. We're all growing, you know what I mean? Every day, you know.
I wish I was growing in height.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Me too.
I think we're all about the same height. Yeah. You're growing in width, though. You're showing broad. Like I said, I saw you doing, I was looking at the Insta. Let's have a look. I was like, mate, he's squatting now. I was like, Jesus Christ. I was thinking, I'll go gym with him. Then I saw that. I was like, nah, maybe not.
I hate it when my mates here. My mates are like, yeah, your little brother ain't so much a little brother no more.
Oh, you're a
I'm
little
like,
brother?
Yeah, man, see?
You know what's funny?
It's the grey hairs.
Yeah, me and my brother was like that. The people's like, you're the older one. I'm the older one. I'm like, no way. Yeah. What's the age gap?
So I turned 30 in January.
Okay.
I'm 23.
No way. You know what? I was saying to my missus yesterday. I just say
I'm a
everybody's
bit
about
disappointed
30.
you didn't say that when I said 30.
No, but I just think everybody's around 30.
Yeah.
You know, just the way you are, the way you carry yourself, like
Yeah.
matured. You know what I mean? It's like the geezer I met yesterday at Harry Middleton. He's 23. I was like, you're 23 and you swam the channel. You started this property thing. You like big properties, like, you know, a couple of million and above. Obviously, he's still working towards it. He's not saying I'm making big money off it, mega bucks. But like I said, with anything, you progress, keep pushing. And that's what you can do, put in the hard work. I was like, you're 23. Like, Jesus Christ. I was like, when I was 23, what was I doing?
Yeah.
I wasn't doing this.
How old are you?
34.
34.
Yeah, I'll be 35 in all. When's your birthday?
January the 29th.
Okay, and you are?
July the 10th.
So you're soonish.
Yeah, soonish.
Gonna be
Yeah.
24 to be
July
24,
the 29th. Did you say?
July 10th, sorry.
Oh, you're not a Leo. What are you,
See him
Leo?
having to think about that.
Are you a Leo star sign?
I ain't got a clue, mate.
Yeah, I'm a Leo. I just know I'm a Leo. I'm a Leo. Yeah, I'm a lion. Like, that's me, king of the jungle. Yeah, but, yeah.
Oh, mate, it's been amazing, to be fair.
thank you.
I
Yeah, it's
really
been a
appreciate
pleasure.
it. Well done to everything that you've done, mate.
Yeah,
and like,
thank you, man.
anything that you need help promoting, like your
Yeah,
charity
of
and
course.
everything, like obviously we'll try
Of
and
course.
back you 100%.
We'll all be in touch still. This is just the beginning
Yeah,
of
exactly,
our
mate.
journey
Yeah, exactly.
as
Anything we can do
together.
to help,
Yeah.
like
We're
we'll
in it
definitely
together,
be.
mate.
You haven't just come here, we've done this like right later and then speak
Yeah,
to you again. It's
exactly,
like,
mate.
nah,
That's what we want, mate.
Yeah, we can push together and, you know, hopefully along the way there's other people we can get on here and
Yeah.
And the way you guys speak, this was all natural. There's no script.
Nah.
It's just come out and
Let's just both keep doing like Joshua, our dad proud.
Your
You know
dad,
what I
yeah,
mean? Let's like carry the
Dave,
legacy on. Yeah, Dave.
yeah, cool.
Or Chiz.
Chiz, yeah.
Everyone used to call him Chiz. So.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much, mate.
All right,
It's been a
thank you, man.
pleasure.
It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, mate. Thanks a
nice
lot.
one.